today that there's just so many ways that this could all go. So I would ask my fellow council members if they have gone through the packet and have questions that they send them to Denise so that she can start researching and helping her think through what all those questions might be. That's all. Thank you.
Good point. Councilor Chandler.
So just for any residents, citizens listening in, so we signed a contract November 27th, 2012 with the Pikes Peak Library District that went into effect January 1st, 2013. So in January of this year, that was 7 years ago. And this is, from my knowledge, the first time that we have had an official complaint against ADA, Americans with Disabilities compliance. It is my understanding that the contract that we signed with PPLD is public access. Public has access to that. Is that true? Is that correct?
Yeah.
It would be my understanding that the public has access to that contract. I have read it in its entirety, and it is very explicit. So my concern is what part of these contract negotiations or discussions with regards to this complaint would have to be held in executive session.
Are you asking me?
I'm just putting it out there. Just I'm asking. I mean, I'm okay if it isn't.
I don't know who the question
I'm just saying that. You know, I'm just saying that I'm asking what part, because the contract in and of itself, which was started 7 years ago, January, has been in place for 7 years, and it is public. The public has access to this contract. What I'm just asking for information, what part of that would need to be executive session, and what part do we really need to include the citizens in this discussion?
Okay.
Denise,
can you respond to that?
I think if we just go into executive session next week, Jeff can inform everybody on that and then move forward accordingly.
Okay. Well,
So
then, okay,
I'll
that
ask
sounds...
Jeff to make sure that we have the right verbiage and everything included on that executive session, and then be able to go from there.
Okay, then that sounds like the safest thing to do. I believe Mayor Pro Tem, you had your hand up, I believe? No? Okay. All right. Any further comments on this? Okay, Mr. Spears, thank you, sir.
Maybe I make one?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for letting me come speak tonight. I apologize if this did lead to any strife on City Council. That was not at all the intention that I personally or the library district had in bringing these issues forward. What does need to be said by me, though, is that with the complaint that the library district has received, we will have to move forward in a way that is beneficial, and I shouldn't even say beneficial, that is not harmful to the library district. And I know that you all understand that, but it does need to be repeated.
Okay. Councilor Wolf?
Mr. Spears, if I might respectfully suggest to you that you inform your attorney that we will be meeting in executive session on this issue next Tuesday, that it's very important to us. It's just as important to us as it is to you. I know you don't want to lose your funding, and I know that's terrifying, but we will work something out with you. And we understand that OCR gave you a deadline extension, but your memo didn't tell us what the extension date was. I think you mentioned it in your presentation. Nonetheless, if your attorney can tell OCR that we're meeting about this next Tuesday, and that you're probably going to hear back from our attorney about that next Wednesday or soon thereafter, so that we can invite you to join the discussion and brainstorm solutions. And that solution brainstorming and the legal interpretation of the contract and all of that would be an executive session. But I think your attorney will be glad to tell OCR that, and the OCR will say, well, for us to meet in just 1 week is probably pretty good progress, and we'll be in touch with you regularly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spears.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is council correspondence. Does anyone want to go first? Counselor Wolf?
I just got complaints about the west end of Soda Springs Park, the homeless people, and then there was some schizophrenic screaming guy just a little west of Tubby's that was screaming, and I got a complaint from a neighbor that they didn't know how to reach Manitou police or something. Anyways, it was just about that, and that was my only thing.
Okay, good. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, and John, you might be going to cover this, I don't know, but there is a CAC opening on the PPACG and an at-large opening, and I was wondering if that would be the job description, if that would be appropriate for the city to post on its webpage, if we have any citizens who might be interested in applying for that position, that volunteer position.
Yes, I think that would be appropriate for the city to solicit volunteers for that. Okay, so we'll see about getting that posted. Good point.
You're on mute. Okay.
I have a question about that. When do they meet? Can you remind me?
The CAC, boy, I want to think, off the top of my head, I want to say the third Wednesday, but I really should check.
It's in the job description, so we can get that out to everybody.
Okay, I might have that confused with something else. So
Thank you.
yeah, we better check. Okay. Okay, Susan, did you have?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Okay. Counselor Chandler?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Judy, I'll get to you. You've already spoken though. Let me offer, Mr. Shada, do you have any comments?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Julie, do you have a follow-on question?
Yes, thank you. Just quick question. Has anyone submitted an application yet, Judy, for the Ward 3 position?
I am getting some feedback. I haven't received an actual application yet, but I am getting some letters that are coming in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and I don't really have anything. Okay, let's go on to the city administrator's report. Mr. Cheney?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor and City Council, we're still working on cleaning the parks. It got delayed with the winter weather. I think it's supposed to snow Thursday again, so we'll get another delay, but we'll continue on working and cleaning those up and getting ready for summer. And number two is we had Dole, our engineer, had a great meeting with Hanging Lake today, talking about the incline or how they run their recreation center and getting some good ideas on how they do it. So a good meeting with them about the incline operation. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Denise?
I sent all of you today some information about the incline. We did go up there today. The chief and I went up, and there was somebody hiking the incline, and there's some real misperceptions. So I'm going to work with Alex tomorrow because of the articles that have been in the paper at the Gazette saying that the incline is open and other things have said that. It's really created this perception. So I'm going to see what we can do and maybe get an article stating that it is closed and why it's closed. And it's really to protect everybody at this point, to help us as we continue to maneuver through this and manage, because you did see that it's gone up a little bit in usage, and as it gets nicer, that may happen. And how do we do this whenever there are two different stories being said right now, and what type of situation that puts us in, and especially the police officers if they look at enforcing it. So I'm going to be working on that tomorrow and seeing how we can get some type of article and some type of statement regarding that.
Okay, good. Thank you. Susan.
Mayor Graham.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Mr. Shada, Susan had her hand raised. I'll come back to you if
All
I
right.
may.
All right,
Let's go-
thanks.
It's
Susan.
just really quick. One of the things that I would like to see, and maybe this is just crazy talk, but I think it would help if the city of Colorado Springs, who owns that park, would be the one to say it's closed, because I think any perception that I'm hearing is, well, Manitou said it's closed, but you don't really have jurisdiction to close it. And so I'm not hearing a loud and clear message from City of Colorado Springs. So I don't really know if I'm going to believe you. And that's a little bit of paraphrasing there. But I mean, honestly, if we're going to move forward after this emergency is over and talk about the problems that existed before COVID and will exist after, and if we're going to get serious about managing the incline, the very first thing that the mayor and the city council and the Parks and Recreation Department could do in Colorado Springs is to support us as part of the intergovernmental agreement, and the fact that the emergency declaration trumps that. And I would just want to see a stronger message from the city of Colorado Springs saying that yes, it is closed and it's because of COVID. And I think that history is going to bear out that this was a hard decision, but a good decision. Those are my strong words about that. I think the misperception, and I don't think us putting out a press release is going to make a hill of beans a difference.
Okay.
If the city of Colorado Springs remains mute on this, and those are just strong words that I have about that. Thank you.
Okay, if I may, and John, I said I would call on you. I'm going to interrupt you, but please, because I have something I think that would be worth reading to you. So John will get to you, and I also see that Judith has her hand
Thank
up.
you.
So let me real quick. I received an email. This was during the meeting. This is from Mayor Suthers, and it was precipitated really by some things that happened this afternoon. So for Mayor Suthers, we will put out a statement, we being City of Colorado Springs, will put out a statement acknowledging that because the incline is within the city limits of Manitou, Manitou has the ability to close it as part of an emergency order and encourage compliance with the order. But I would suggest that as state restrictions are eased in the next few weeks, your council might consider lifting the ban and encouraging social distancing. As the weather gets warmer, enforcement of a ban will become increasingly difficult. So that's from Mayor Suthers, and that was received, it was a little after 6 o'clock this evening. But Mr. Shada, you're next.
Yes, Councilman Wilbeck, that was fantastic. I have gone up to the incline base there essentially morning, noon, and night since we've done this. And quite often, the barricades, as you, Denise, that are up there, they are thrown in the bushes, even those big giant ones that are things that are kind of designed to kind of, barricade a street. Those are quite often in the bushes, thrown into the forest, okay, or drug around, okay. So we have, I would suggest, I think one of the suggestions I would make is that some of that signage that's on those plastic A-frames, okay, those get pushed over several times a day. Almost every single day, I have to go up and put those back up, okay? And it seems like to me that we probably just need to avail ourselves of the signage poles that are there and just use regular nuts and bolts and just formally put it up so that something that somebody just can't kind of shove over because they're kind of angry that it's closed. I think that overall, from my standpoint, since this is my initiative, that be closed. We've, I think, saved exposing our community to probably pretty close to 25,000 people, okay, that may be asymptomatic. I think that's, nearly 5 times our community's population of people parking in town, wandering through town, walking up there, when people here have been asked to shelter in place and go for walks near their home. I think I sent you all the governor's order, which I think was pretty explicit, that said, this shelter in place order is not a license to go on vacation, okay, and to essentially drive to an attractive incline. So I've been pretty pleased that, on many days, under 100 people, okay, going around those signs. But I would also just observe probably half the time that people have probably been up there, the signage has been tipped over and essentially vandalized. So I think that I think it was really helpful at one time for the signage down on Ruxton at the turning circle to say that the incline's closed. I realized that we've had to utilize that signage for something else because we're probably having difficulty with people maybe flushing inappropriate things down the sewer line. But I think that if we can get that signage before up there and pay for $10 parking, okay, or essentially utilize all the unpatrolled residential spaces, okay, that are all up in there. Once you kind of get parked and kind of committed, if you show up there at the far trailhead and there's no signage that says it's closed. Now, my dog and I have sat at the base of that on those benches, okay, and I would say that 80% of people, when the signage is there, obey it. I mean, it's actually pretty, you know, it's pretty wonderful that actually people will read the sign and obey it, and they'll either go over and hike our trail or use U Trail. So that's my 2 cents on just observing what's happening up there.
Okay, thank you, John. I'm sorry, Judith had her hand up next, and then we've got several others. Okay, Judith?
I just wanted to comment that I don't know if you saw the April 13th article in the Gazette Telegraph. I don't remember the writer, but it was an article on Ute Pass Trail. And not only was it encouraging people to come use the trail, which I'm fine as long as they practice social distancing, it did say in the article that the incline bus was still running. And so in addition to letting everyone know in Colorado Springs that the incline's closed, I think we need to remind them that the shuttle bus is not running. And last thing, while I deeply appreciate Mayor Southers finally coming around and supporting us, this is mid-April, and I have to say, very late in the game. So glad he finally came around, but would have appreciated this more than a month ago.
Okay. Let's see. I think Denise was next, and then we.
Judy, I need your opinion. Can we continue with this? Because this was not an agenda item, so I need your perspective.
That was what I was trying to say, is we really do need to wrap up and not have more conversation. If you want to put this on for a future agenda for more discussion, we need to do that, but not have that discussion without it being agendized.
Okay, quick show of hands. Who would want to put this on the agenda for next week?
I think it's on the agenda with your ordinance that you want to put on. So
Okay.
we'll discuss.
I'm hoping that it's on the agenda that we asked Jeff Parker to share with us the ordinances he drafted for some of his other cities that have some fines or some kind of consequence.
So
and he was going to bring that forward, and I'm hoping to see that on the agenda.
Okay.
We do that. I think
It's
Susan.
8 o'clock and everybody's yelling. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear it?
Okay.
It's really
Sorry.
loud where I am.
Susan, I think you were next.
I have one more comment, and because you did read the correspondence from Mayor Southers, I'm just going to go ahead and make this comment. I appreciate that. Thank you for reading that, and I am glad, better late than never. But I've said from the beginning that Colorado Springs could be a hero if they would send us some people from their staff paid to help with this issue. I don't think they have. And I also think that when we reopen the incline in terms of social distancing and things like that, it is their park. And there's a lot of unemployed people that could use a temporary job that could help with some things like this. And so the note from him acknowledging it, better late than never, but I've never understood why they couldn't do more and provided more. This is their park, and they don't seem to want to spend any money on anything other than extra trails to make more people come to this town to use it. I'm a huge incline fan, but this is way out of control, and I'd love to see Colorado Springs step up to the plate, and I'm happy to talk about that on another agenda.
Okay, great, thank you. Nancy, I think you had your hand up. Okay, so I think everybody got to say what they wanted to say. Anything else? Okay, that covers what we had hoped to get done, so now we are adjourned. Good night, stay healthy, take care.